What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, what's influencing it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO's down 3.94%, piggybacking off the broader market. 448 the low, 465 the high. So pretty much as soon as the market did open, it just tanked alongside the broader market. Very little volume, so 30.92 million shares being traded. 51.9 is the average. No official news associated to NIO, no SEC filings, nothing like that. So I've already covered this in yesterday's video about the repurchase of that senior note. But aside from that, the only thing I wanted to bring up was this. So Onvo says that it did deliver 9,767 vehicles so far in December. So given everything, it is fair to assume that they are going to hit their targets, most likely. So again, I think that's kind of a good thing. Once they do actually confirm that, then you should have some big money maybe buying, of course, NIO as a byproduct. So again, I think just generally over the last 90 days, big money has been overlooking NIO ever since kind of that whole stimulus has been a flop coming from China, and just the whole tariffs didn't really amount to all that much. So no transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000 today. Shorts are increasing a very small amount, so 50,000 shares, but shorts have returned a lot, yet the stock price hasn't really gone up all that much. So 10.92% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 145.84 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of borrow average 4.25. So it is rather disappointing, all in all, the fact that NIO was heavily shorted. It even had a high of roughly around 17.5%, but nothing really came from that. One thing that I do want to bring up that is rather positive, though, is JP Morgan. So they just submitted their 13F, and it looks like they did reduce their puts significantly by roughly 38%, and they also did increase their calls by 518%. So generally a lot more optimistic on NIO. Behind the scenes, they did reduce their call options, or sorry, their common stock by 0.48%, so a very small reduction. On a side note, they did actually give a rating last month. It was $7, a buy rating, and NIO has a 38% success rating. So good to see some, I guess, bullishness behind the scenes. But aside from that, not really much activity. You have some new ETFs increasing their position, making brand new ones, but I think it's just people are waiting for just success of the Onvo, for targets to be hit and everything else, but I could be wrong. Let me know your viewpoint on that. As far as options, 2.59 million in calls, 1.07 million in puts. 43% of all the options being done today are kind of bearish, so not the best, and just the overall dollar value has started to diminish. So it was kind of stabilizing around that 4 to 5 million, but now the last couple trading days has been very, very low, so not the best. So we'll just have to wait and see what does come from that. But the put slash call ratio is very one-sided, so clearly big money is anticipating for more downside. Regrettably, of the call options that are being purchased, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $5 range. So the optimism has started to diminish once again with NIO, and then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub $4 by January 10th, 2025. With today being Friday, this is what the open interest kind of looks like. So 17,000 at that 450. 42,000 at that 5. So shorts as well as market makers do have a financial interest in having NIO close below 450. So just kind of stay tuned for that. There's roughly around 30 minutes left in the trading day. If it does close below 450, then regrettably all of this does expire worthless. So that's kind of the downside of doing options. But right now with it at $4.50 is trading right above this pivot point of 448. So that is the low for today. So we know going forward that is a strong support. Flip side, 461 is going to be the next strong target slash resistance, followed by 469. So NIO is just breaking down alongside the broader market, but you see a lot of other stocks getting bought up. That's not necessarily happening with NIO, but as of right now, though, it is what it is. I think it's just still struggling with that ALMA, so that is sitting at $4.53. So in the short term, definitely needs to stay above that. But aside from that though, it's still below all the key pivotal moving averages. So not the best chain of events that is happening with NIO, but as I've stated, once profitability does occur, whenever, obviously in the next year and a half, that is where the stock price will more coincide with what happens operationally. Until that does occur, you're just going to have this level of manipulation that does typically happen. And I get it. Some people might not say that this is manipulation. What I mean by that is if you look at NIO in comparison to, let's say, any other American EV, comparing PS ratios, NIO is just like mind-blowingly dirt cheap. And not only that though, the fact that it is gravitating towards this 450 is a very telling sign that, again, big money as well as market makers have a financial interest in closing below 450. So to have it pushed artificially below 450 by those big entities, I feel like that is a very clear sign of manipulation. But again, what do I know? Let me know your viewpoint on NIO. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing with NIO behind the scenes? And have you been dabbling with options? So what is your viewpoint on all of that? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon, give it a quick follow in the description below and also the comments. I give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Many of them have been absolute bangers. So pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.